you all for having me again. You saw me on the previous panel. I'm from Forsyth County Schools, north of Atlanta, about 45 minutes. We're the 5th largest school district in the state of Georgia and continually growing. We're hopefully going to drop under 1,000 new kids this year, but we think we'll probably stay right around that. What I want to talk to you today is through what we've all learned and what we deal with is that we got to try to save money. Things cost way too much money. Contractors and vendors of any kind will do everything they can, but they don't understand the government budget. Okay, we're hamstrung all the time about funding. So what we've learned in Forsyth County is that we've got to dig into the weeds. It may be very uncomfortable, but we found some great ways I wanted to share with you in a very short period of time. In the state of Georgia, we get a thing called educational splost. It's a penny sales tax that if anyone buys anything in our county, a penny comes back to the school district. Okay, it's a great thing that Georgia does. It's because not all your funding falls on your taxpayers with property taxes. So it's a great thing. It can only be used for capital, which is even better because you can't hide it in salaries and you can't say Matt got a raise this year or things of that nature. So it's great because it's very tangible. So that kind of falls into our lap. And for Forsyth County, we normally get over a 5-year period, we make a little over $350 million. Okay? The problem we had in Forsyth County is I've built 9 schools in 10 years. Okay? So we are in that stretch to where we had to have new schools. So we couldn't wait on that monthly revenue. So we had to go and do bonds. Okay? Which is a problem in our district, but we had to have the money quickly because the kids were just flowing in. This current 5 years, we've only built 1 school now in the last 3 years, which is very exciting. But I've sold the board into saying, let's take all that $350 million and invest it back in our existing schools. We've got to pick up the pieces of what we've left behind because we were building so fast. So we had to create those limits on all the other schools. The other problem is our growth keeps coming. So we now have over 200 modular units in our district. Okay? We rent them because our population changes so much, we have to go build a new school. So we're not going to try to buy these things because we're constantly moving them around. That's the battle we fight in Forsyth County. Okay? So what we did is we went back to our schools and we said, here's the things we got to get done. Okay? And that all comes down to high needs and best value. Because we learned real fast everything costs more. I built an elementary school 3 years ago. Okay? It was $188 a square foot, which is cheap. Because you procure it about 2 or 3 years before you build it. We all know the song and dance. I built the exact same school that opened in August. It was $350 a square foot. Okay? But we've learned, and that's a new building. Renovations, we all know in the school, it costs even more, right? HVAC renovations, it costs even more. So we've now gone to our contractors, which just upsets them, but that's okay. Okay? It's our money, we need to be good stewards. So what we said was, what do we consider in order to get best value? You obviously look at critical need. I will tell you in Forsyth County Schools, we do the best, no offense to my counterparts, Clayton in the back and Bibb, a couple of them. We do an amazing job of assetting all of our materials. We have asset tags on everything in our county. We know how many times we touch it. We know how much maintenance work we've done with it, life cycles, our schedules, our budgets, quality of work. Impediments is where I'm going to hold for real quick. We had to make some decisions about, do we get rid of a school because it's so old and build a new one? One of our schools was 1958, and we had to change that out because of the enrollment. I only had a capacity of 725 kids. I had over 1,300 kids in that school. Okay? So we made that decision. Don't put all that money into that old school. Let's build a new one. We can redistrict and help move our kids around. Financing, and I hope you please take this for a grain of salt. Everybody's different. I don't ever want to be that guy up here to say, oh, well, he can do that because he's got money. So hopefully things that I talk about that we've done, maybe you can take something back and use. Because I've been in 5 school districts in the state of Georgia. So remember when I said the first thing about $350 million, right? Over 5 years, that's pretty good. My previous district, over 5 years, Middle Georgia, we made only $30 million. We're a very high need population. The largest employer was the school system, followed by the state prison and state juvenile facility. So again, Please but they can do things that we've done and we've shared with our districts how we can save them money. First of all, invent preventative maintenance. Please look at this. I can tell you right now, I have over 9 million square feet of roof, okay? We have 55,000 kids in 42 schools. Our schools are big, okay? But at the same time, we only replace maybe one wing of a roof every year. Why? Because we have a preventative maintenance program that we have a third-party contractor come in and they do all of our cleanings. They clean the roofs, gutters, eaves, everything. We pay for that, but as preventative maintenance, it pays for itself because we all know how much a new roof is, right? So preventative maintenance. Third-party vendors or contractors, you can use them any way. We chose, I'm just using roofs as an example because I don't want my maintenance guys climbing on roofs. My insurance company loves me for that, okay? Because the workers' comp claims stay down. Plus, we're not experts. I don't have roofers on staff. Our maintenance people, we're broken up into 4 divisions: HVAC, plumbing, electric, and everything else, which we call carpentry, okay? But they're not roofers, right? So we always find that. And the bigger game is we're always finding ways we can do something better. You guys all know in school systems, one year you can do it in-house and the next year you got to source it out. Who can find a kitchen repairman? Nobody, okay? They don't know. So we're always constantly playing that game about what we bring in-house and what we put out. And we're finding a lot of value in that. Find the hidden cost. My GCs that build our schools and do all the construction, they hate that first line. Because guess what? I can do it without you. We've been very fortunate. I have 2 construction managers on my staff and I have 2 architects on my staff. So what we've said is, listen, when we're not building a new school, we're going to look at if we're not doing structural work, we're going to remove the GC. Guess what I just saved? 10% markup minimum. It's helped us tremendously, okay? But I know, Matt, that's more work on your staff. But that's why but being good stewards of our dollars, why pay them? And mainly with our renovations, it's all HVAC. 90% of this 5-year plan is HVAC. They don't know our HVAC anyway. The HVAC engineers are the ones doing it, and they love not having to talk to a GC. Work directly for an owner saves us a ton of money. Items provided by the owner, and I'm going to move down to break up separate packages. This has been very eye-opening. We actually were sitting with an energy recovery unit. We use massive fresh air in our school districts, energy recovery units. If you know Georgia, our humidity is ridiculous. We call it weather you can wear, okay? So what it is, we've decided back way before I got here in 08, 09, which is the terrible year, but Forsyth County has been great about investing in the new way. We invested in fresh air, okay? So all these energy recovery units do is circulate fresh air and dehumidify the air. That's what they do. They're huge, bigger than a semi-trailer, okay? But we were sitting with one of these companies and we were doing all these packages and we said, you know, we're tired of all these high costs and long lead times, you know? And they said, well, we can get you units in 16 weeks. And we said, well, they were in our spec, why aren't you making it? Well, when the sales rep left, he said, hey, they're packaging us out. So because they were connected to one of these manufacturers, I won't say their names because we still use them, they're not doing anything wrong. They were going out and pricing rooftop units, water source heat pumps, VRF, fresh air, and they were lumping it all together. Well, we were losing out on people that could get us stuff quicker and cheaper because they were just hiding the money, okay? So what we did is we had to change our contract. We no longer allowed that. We make every contractor break out every cost. You got to show us our 3 manufacturers and the price difference. And you must have lead times. Because I'll pay an extra $100,000 on a $10 million job if I can get my equipment in 15 weeks when the next guy is 52. And I keep telling people, quit saying 52. You know that's a year, right? Just put a year. That has helped us tremendous. And it saved us a whole lot of money because now they can't hide the money. So it's the way we did our contract. This means you have to get uncomfortable and hold your contractors accountable. Again, we talked about no GC. I've also now started removing our architect. for some specific jobs. Okay, if it's heavy in HVAC, I'm going to keep going back to that. We are now just contracting our mechanical engineering group, who reports to the architect anyway. Now I just dropped down to a 4% markup instead of a 7%, and really the architect didn't do anything anyway. They called the engineer and said, what do I do? It's okay. Listen, it's being uncomfortable. My architects are saying, well, wait a minute, you need us. No, we don't. We need that mechanical engineer. That has saved us a ton. Make changes in future projects. I did a huge mistake. I let people just walk my schools and create lists. That's ridiculous. I gave them a list, and then architects love to go and just create stuff on their own. We had to reevaluate everything that we were doing. Okay? So we had to, because you know what the favorite line is. Is it a need or is it a want? And we needed to make sure that they were needs for our schools and not wants. Service contract, I'm going to jump over in-house labor to talk service contract real quick. We also do a great thing in Forsyth County. We create pools of contractors. What that means is I have a pool of 3 HVAC companies that can come in and change out a unit if I need it. They have to be required. Their service contract, their labor rates are locked in. It's a year-to-year contract, up to 5 years. So what I do is I go and buy the equipment because I can get a tax break. I house the equipment. I use that service contract to install it. I just saved money again. Okay? So again, my service contracts are amazing. So we create a pool of 2 or 3. Cooperative contract, that's also saved us a ton of money. From Sourcewell to Tips to Omni, use everything you can. However, don't let them trap you. Make them still bid it. Some say, well, it's the Sourcewell or it's the Tips. Make them bid it. Hold your contractors accountable. We've changed our contract. I've already talked to you about breaking it out piece by piece. We've also put in liquidated damages so that if a contractor does not meet their date that they gave, we have liquidated damages. So what that means is whatever contract they sign on the day that they win the bid or proposal, we do a proposal method, best value. We hold them, we put in liquidated damages. For a high school level, it's $10,000 fine a day that they don't meet their date. They meet their date. We make sure we also have them present to us the team that's going to do their work. Because everyone knows they love a bait and switch. Oh, we're so good at what we do. The superintendent's been here 35 years, but you get Johnny who just joined the company. We require them to bring the team before we sign a contract. And if you change that team, you have the opportunity to lose your contract, but we will definitely fine your company. So it makes them tell us what's going on. The other thing is we make us show all of the subcontractors and their dollar amounts. We make them put that in writing. Because I'm going to sit here and say, wait a minute, why in the world is it $6 million for plumbing? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So again, we make sure we hold our contractors accountable. And my favorite line I always say to them, they all know it's coming now, I'm not going to be the reason you fail. I'm just not. And what that means is they'll say, well, what do you think about? I say, you're not walking me into that trap. I want to know what you're doing, okay? But they'll say, well, do you like this sub? Nope, I'm not going to tell you that. Because then you're going to say, well, you made me use him when he doesn't perform. But what I would tell you is, here's the key. You can't drag your feet either. So we pride ourselves that when a contractor has an item that they're looking at or an architect needs to review, we get it back within 24 hours, we get a response, okay? We tell our architects, you gotta be ready to go because it's not fair to them that they get delayed by, oh, well, we gotta talk about that for a week. No, get it done. Get it done. Last 2 slides, real quick. Have a high standard and set it and keep it. People will meet it, okay? If you allow something to come in your district, that's what you're gonna get. We go out of our way to make sure salespeople stay out of our rooms. And I know now a lot of salespeople don't like me, but that's okay. The big key is in this is because we have a specification, a basis of design on everything. We know what flooring we want. There's 3 manufacturers, or there's 3 types of floor that we want. That's what we need. Okay, we always allow some to show us, but it's got to meet that basis of design. You have to make sure of that. That keeps all the unknowns out of there, because we all know as much as anybody, people will try to upsell you. Well, my flooring's better if you just come look at mine. Okay, well, that's fine. If you meet our specifications of what we require from sound value, color, layout, all that, we'll look at it and add it to our spec. But this is very important. Maintenance, parts, and turnaround. It is in our board policy, and I have to reply to our board every single time that we have to touch a work order and have a comment on it within 48 hours of it being submitted. So we have to be accountable, and I hold my maintenance guys to that. Last slide. Find a way to get it done. Everything I have, I'm over budget. Everything. But we've got to find a way in certain other pieces to find the money to finish it. My 5-year program, it sells every year because we pride ourselves in never rolling something into the next one. We show, if you vote for this, we're getting it done in these 5 years. And we really take a lot of pride in that. And it keeps the trust between our principals and our community. It really does. So find a way. I don't want to keep you anymore. So again, I'm around. You guys can ask questions. Sorry I had to go fast.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Matt.